do the AT going south. We have Panda, Kurt, Shadow, and myself. We're gonna go Port Clinton to 501 Shelter. Well, Shadow and I are gonna go to 501 Shelter. Kurt and Jerry are gonna stop at the Route 183 parking lot and only do one overnight. And then we're gonna get Shadow through his first 3-day trip, 2 nights. We're looking at somewhere in the ballpark of 23, 24 miles for the 3 days. So a good amount of mileage, but nothing crazy. So should be nice for his first 3-dayer. But we're gonna get going away from this noisy road up there on the ridge and start warming up. It's roughly like 20 degrees right now, or like upper 20s. It's still.
So the drop out of this.
Yeah.
You've never left in this parking lot. It's interesting.
Yeah, I've never parked here before. So Kurt said, going out of this parking lot in this direction, we go like straight down. But yeah. So the temps right now are like mid-20s, I believe. And it's kind of supposed to get, I think, like 30 for the high today. It's not very high, but right around 20 is our low for the night. Tomorrow it's gonna actually warm up overnight and like towards the morning. Oh yeah, he was not kidding. But it's supposed to be almost 50 tomorrow, and then colder again Monday, and possibly some snow for a hike out. Well, it is pretty much straight down, but at least they give you stairs. We are now over by the train tracks. We're gonna cross said train tracks, and we're gonna head up to this climb. Now, our buddy Adam Z, he just did this, I think it was like last weekend. Adam did this, right?
He came the other way.
Yeah, he came the other way. But he said that this, he came down it, but he said it looked like the worst climb so far for him on the AT and PA. I still think climbing up out of Wind Gap, heading towards Mount Mincy, that's probably my least favorite that I've done personally. So we're gonna find out if I agree with them. Because, you know, we all have our own thresholds for what we feel to be difficult. Honestly, after watching Adam's video, I wouldn't want to come down this. I'd much rather go up it than down.
Did you come down?
Yeah, Adam did come down it. So yeah, here we go. And this will be the first part to us getting warmed up after getting out of the car. A little bit of climb, get the blood flowing. Good times. We have been on the ridge for a little while now, and a little bit of flurries, which is not surprising. When we left the house, it was like full on snowing there, and where we live, it was calling for an inch of snow today. But the further south we drove to get here, the nicer it got, the clearer it got. But it clouded up a lot, so who knows? We might actually see snow down in this area. But that climb, I don't know if I agree that it's the hardest climb in PA. It definitely is a harder climb, and Panda and I were talking about it. I think it's comparable to Wind Gap's climb if you're going north out of Wind Gap. The only difference is Wind Gap is steep and shorter than what this was, but this hike up out of the gap was an extended one. It felt like you were going for a while, but it wasn't terrible. I think the worst part about it is there's a ton of leaves all over the trail, so it made it slippery climbing up. If it wasn't for that, it probably would have been even a little bit easier to deal with. But then up on the ridge, hasn't been bad. We had one very small rock garden area we went through, but the rest of the trail has been like this. So it's been nice walking so far. Panda's correcting me. It's been a nice hike so far. But we saw 2 day hikers out. So a few other people out enjoying the trail this morning. We're near one of the named outlooks, but the sign's kind of worn. But it's right over there. And there's this interesting little totem guy here. Okay, so only faces on the front side of it. Oh yeah, I can bring up gut hooks and see what it says for the name of the vista. Yeah, so I find out the name of this vista, I'll just like pop it up on the screen. Yeah, not a bad view. All right, we had our lunch, and most of us were more hungry than we realized, but had a nice little spot with a very convenient downed tree to sit on. Had our lunch. That lookout that we had just seen, according to gut hooks, it's the Auburn lookout. So that is the name. And I have one of the hard things for me with winter camping and hiking is my hands are really susceptible to cold weather. I had like minor frostbite working on a Christmas tree farm as a teenager, so my hands get super cold super easy. But picked up this Zippo rechargeable hand warmer as a way to help cut down on like waste, and it's been like first trip using it, it's been pretty good so far. It really kept my hands warm during break. Well, that's where the sun's at. We just topped off our water. We're hopefully about a mile from the shelter area. It's hard to tell exactly because I made a custom route on gut hooks. So where I had to drop the pin wasn't exactly where we started hiking from. So the mileage from what we've actually hiked to what that is a little off. But yeah, it's been a good day so far. Weather has been pretty consistent. Wind hasn't been too bad. Sometimes where it picks up, but it's not terrible. So right now my pack is probably like at least 35 pounds carrying this extra water. But this time of year, I don't like to mess around. We're so close to the shelter that we don't know how the water sources are around the shelter. I keep finding like conflicting information when I was planning the trip. So I like to err on the side of caution. But this is a nice section. This is a really narrow ridge. So it is quite dark, as you can see. We have a fire. We got here just before it got dark. The like 8 miles that gut hooks had from where we parked and started to the Eagle's Nest wasn't long. It's like we did almost 10 miles today, which a little rough. Like Shadow and I worked last night and we each barely got like a nap. I got like just right around an hour, a little bit more than an hour, and he just got a nap in the car ride. Today has been like a nice little collection of random fun stuff, from like Shadow not having a base layer and me letting him borrow one, to damaging his rain jacket. And then Jerry and I kind of set him up even for more of an interesting time by letting him borrow an underquilt and a top quilt, because he doesn't have winter stuff yet. You know, he's still like a beginner. So gave him Panda's 0 degree top quilt and her 0 degree or her 20 degree underquilt. The problem is her 20 degree underquilt is the same color as my 30 degree underquilt, and they're both the same underquilt from the same company. So guess which one he has? He has the 30 degree. But the good thing about it is I have pushed that underquilt to really crazy temperatures in the past. So that one, even though I do not like my 0 degree from Hammock Gear, my 30 degree I think is great. Like, for whatever reason, that quilt is it just does great for me. And we got to teach him how to do a tarp with like full storm mode, doors closed and everything, just to help give him a little extra wind block. So we'll see how he does. But when, you know, things like this happen, it's important to remember to not be macho, and bailing is always an option in that. But if Shadow does good and he's okay with tonight and using like the different, if he needs to use like the different little tips and tricks, like, you know, gave him the stereotypical things of like, you know, use your Nalgene as a hot water bottle, stuff like that. But if he does okay tonight, tomorrow night is supposed to be the same. Same weather and everything, so we'll see. But for most of us, all that matters is, especially our group, is we're just out here, and that's all that matters. So it doesn't matter if it's one night or 20 nights. It's just a good time.
I didn't bring enough food for 20 nights.
I didn't bring enough food for 20 nights either. But we're going to enjoy our fire and continue to get our meals cooked, and we'll see you guys in the morning. Really quick view of camp. It's morning. It was definitely cold last night. Shadow did okay. He had a survivable night, if not a totally comfortable sleep. Kurt is down here. He was the only one without any kind of covering, at least that was in a hammock.
Yeah.
And Pando is in here in her bear suit. And I was right here. And I don't know if I've ever seen this happen to my straps before, but I don't know how well that's coming through, but like, they froze. Like, and Kurt said everything of his is frozen from being exposed without a tarp or anything. I think Shadow did the best with the condensation. Me, it was terrible, and a lot of it was my own doing, unfortunately. So this is my standard winter setup that you guys have seen anytime I winter camp in any recent history. I've had the same quilt, same hammock for like the last 3 winters now, maybe 4 at this point. But I also have a sock by Dutchwear Gear. I love the sock. I haven't used it in a long time, so I figured instead of my tarp, I would break that out and just use it. So, being an idiot, I haven't used it in a while, and I forgot about this. But I've thrown like spare socks or spare gloves like in the bottom of the sock, and it's been fine. But I put my boots and my hard shell in it, and it pulled it right up against the hammock, and it was compressing it. So it made me cold. So I took all that stuff out, and then it was fine. However, my shell, because I didn't want to loop it like over my ridgeline or anything, I just shoved it up into the peak of my hammock above my head. Well, for those of you that aren't familiar with how winter socks work, that's the problem. So the winter sock is like this. You have your really lightweight material that's meant as your wind block, and then towards where your head end goes, you have this mesh material that's meant to act like a vent. Hold on, I wearing my glove back on. But you have this mesh material that is meant to act as a vent and help regulate any possible condensation that you're going to get. Well, with my hard shell shoved up to where it was, I blocked that vent. Not completely, but I blocked it more than it should have been blocked. And I got a lot of condensation inside. I think, like you might be able to see, I'm not sure how well all this is going to show up on camera, but so some of it's already come off because I've been trying to let it air out since it's a little breezy. And my top quilt really got a lot of condensation from that, like almost the whole top center of the quilt, from it like raining down on me overnight. So I'm gonna have to take care of my quilt when I get home. And then speaking of the quilts, like I said, I've had this quilt set up for a couple years now. The top is a UG Cube Bandit 0 degree. I love that quilt. It is amazing. It's nothing. It's just the standard down. Nothing fancy. I didn't go premium or anything like that on it. But I feel like I could take that thing like colder than what it calls for with how warm I am in it. And unfortunately, my underquilt is Hammock Gear Econ 0. I hate that quilt. Like, it just doesn't work for me. And it's really weird because so Shadows, the 30 degree quilt that he is using is mine. Same company, and it's also the Econ quilt. So we got down to like right around probably like 21 last night, but maybe like 20. And I feel like I would have been warmer with my 30 degree by Hammock Gear, because something about that quilt, I stay super warm with that. So even when it's below its temperature rating, I feel like that quilt still does a really good job. This one, however, it was like 20 degrees out last night, and it's rated for 0, and I was cold, like really cold. And it's something I've been battling with this thing ever since I bought it. And I've tried different adjustments, tried different things, and for whatever reason, I just don't get it. As we're hiking along, a little ground spider web that's all frozen. That's pretty cool. Past 2 trail maintenance guys. Had a nice little chat with them. Gave them a heads up about a down tree a little bit further back on the trail. Looks like they're working their way that way. And so we learned something pretty cool. Never heard of this before. So if anyone section hikes Appalachian Trail in PA, and they've logged it in some way or another, I'm not sure what the restrictions are or requirements or any of that stuff, but they're telling us if you track your progress, you can submit to the KTA, which is one of the trail organizations in Pennsylvania, that they cover different trails. They do more than just the AT. They do some of the stuff that's out like in the Little Sock State Forest, and you can get like a little like thing of completion from them. So you get like a certificate, and He said it's like a tag. It looks like, I guess it looks like a retro AT tag. So that's pretty neat. Since Panda and I are finally getting back to trying to knock out sections of the AT, it'll be something to look forward to when we're finished. Yeah, pretty cool. So any of you that are working on that, such as like Adam Z or our buddy Chris that's already done it, if you're not aware of that, go check it out. Down this way to the parking lot, keep going that way, follow the AT, going south to the 183 road crossing. All in all, good trip. Now we're gonna go eat and enjoy the rest of the day.